Hi everyone, welcome back. I've just come back from 3 weeks away. I've been abroad, I've been enjoying the sun, and every evening I've been watching the UK weather on the TV, and I've been able to see just how tragic it's been back at home. It's been really wet and windy, hasn't it? And as you can see looking outside, the flowers are still okay, but they've taken a bit of a battering, but my cousin's done his best to tie everything up. I'm back this morning and there's a lot to do. The weeds have gone mad, but everything's bearing fruit as well. So I've just spent 5 minutes picking some tomatoes. It's actually more than 5 minutes, about an hour. Cucumbers, aubergine, a few courgettes there, and some orange beets. The beans have gone mad as well, so I've got half a carrier bag full of the dwarf bean Stanley, and I've also emptied a few pots of Charlotte potatoes. The tops had died back, but they're beautiful, the potatoes. Really nice and clean, a really nice size. So I'm off home now to take these and get them sorted out, have some lunch, and then I'll be back down to start in earnest. Catch you later. Hi again, welcome back. Well, I've extolled the virtues of no-dig gardening in the past, but I'm going to show you now the results of no gardening. This is what happens when you leave the plot for 3 weeks and you get really bad weather. My cousin's been doing his best to look after all 4 plots, and he's done quite well, but he's not been able to really do very much because of the weather. And I'm going to stand up now and show you the reality of having an allotment and the reality of what happens when you leave it for an extended period of time. And you can see that the squash have not really been kept in check, and they've just run riot all over the no-dig border, and they've gone over some of the empty beds as well. The grass is probably a foot 18 inch high. I've trampled over it a little bit this morning. Yeah, it's still a little bit damp, so it's not in a condition to be cut just yet. A couple of the beds that have still got things in them have not been weeded, and they're full of all manner of weeds. Some of the spring onions don't look like spring onions, do they really? These are purplette, they've gone to seed. The kohlrabi are massive. I've just taken 3. A few have burst, but I think they'll be okay. They look really healthy because of obviously all the moisture they've had. But if I just show you how big they are, they're absolutely huge. They must weigh the best part of 1 kilo each. But look at all the weeds, thistles, sweet corn, and then over here the remnants of the red beetroot and the orange beetroot. Shocking really. Nettles all the way around the perimeter. Doesn't look very good, does it? Well, I thought I'd show you it anyway, and then you'll see what I have to do when I come back off holiday, and hopefully you'll see a little bit of a transformation. Morning everyone, it's Tuesday the 20th of August, and you join me at the foot of the potato bed. This is the Maincrop potato bed, and it's a little bit bigger than I remembered it being before I went away on holiday. It's 24 foot by about 13 foot, and it's just got Maincrop potatoes in this year. We've put the earlies in a different bed. I've just taken up 2 rows, and I've taken about 2.5 35 litre pots of potatoes. These are the variety Picasso, I think. They do look very much like King Edward, but I'm pretty certain they're Picasso. And in this first pot we've got the rejects. These are potatoes that, although they look really nice, they've got lots of holes in, or several holes anyway, from wireworm. Not so much slug damage, just wireworm, as I say, but they won't keep, they'll rot if they're put into storage. So there's about a third of a pot there, which is not bad. Yeah, about a third. The other pot's empty because I've just emptied it onto a spare bed for the potatoes to dry out. I'll show you those in a moment. And these are the small potatoes. They're all okay. A couple have been sliced with a spade, but generally they're okay. And they're really nice just to eat as you would an early potato. They'll boil nicely. So about 2.5 35 litre pots of potatoes. That's not bad, out of 2 rows. And as I say, half a pot of rejects. And I would say there's been about 1.5 pots of really good condition ones. And I'll show you those now. Well, this is where I've put the good potatoes to dry off. These are the Picasso, as I say, and they're all pretty much a baking potato size. And they're really, I think they're the best potato we've tried anyway for baking potatoes. They're really nice, fluffy inside when they're baked, really nice clean taste, nice texture. But they're also okay for mash, and the smaller ones are okay to be boiled just like a new potato, and that's why I separated them into that other little pot back on the bed. 1.5 35 litre pots here. So there's probably about 55 litres or something like that by volume, and that'll probably fill one sack quite nicely, one Hessian sack. Right, so I'm going to get back to the potatoes. I might do another couple of rows before lunch, and I dare say I'll show you all the potatoes when they're lifted, although they may be in pots or spread on tables drying. So I'll catch you later when we reach that stage. Hi again. Well, you join me on Wednesday the 21st of August. It's taken me 2 half days, about 7 hours, but I've managed to get the main crop bed of potatoes harvested. Rather a lot of them. For the most part they were in really good condition. About, I would say maybe 1/10 had got wormholes in them from wireworms, but otherwise they're okay, and uniform in size as well. And I'll show you those now. And here we are in the left hand side of the barn. I've not shown you in here since we tidied it out, but we're drying some of the banana shallots in here, and I think some of the germore shallots as well. Got all the pots up on the shelf up there under the rafters, and these are the potatoes. We've got 2 deep watering trays full of baking potatoes. All of these potatoes are Picasso and King Edward, but I think about 3/4 are Picasso. So we've got 2 trays there, and then if we come down you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 large pots of baking potatoes. And if I just bend down to give you some sense of scale, you'll be able to see how big these potatoes are. They're all big. They're all probably about 1.5 to 2 pounds. There's 1 or 2 with an odd wormhole like that, but for the most part they're clean. The ones that were quite moth-eaten are those 2 tubs there. So we've got probably the equivalent of about 10 or 11 35 litre pots of baking potatoes, and 1, as I say, just that one there, that's had a little bit of slug damage and wireworm damage. And actually these 2 pots here are 50 litre pots, I think. They're much bigger. So yeah, about the equivalent of maybe 11 or 12 pots. Don't ask me to weigh them. It nearly killed me just bringing them into the barn. So, but I would think they're I don't know, maybe 300 or 400 pounds worth of potatoes by weight. And I've not finished. I've just started on one of the raised beds. I'll just show you the start of that now, and then I'm going to call it a day for this update. I'll catch you in a minute. And this is the long 20-foot by 5-foot bed in the middle of the fruit trees, and I've dug exactly half of it, and I've got a barrow full. These are Pentland Javelin, and again they're all really clean. I think I've come across one potato with a hole in it, and that's obviously because they're being grown in a raised bed. And as you can see, the soil's really nice, because it's had quite a bit of manure over the last few years. Nothing in the last year, but it's really nice soil as this. The potatoes, the seed potatoes, were just put in with a trowel into holes about 9 or 10 inch deep, but I've had to dig them out. Every 1 year out of 4 will be a dug year for this bed, as we put potatoes in it, but the other years we won't dig it, so it will be, for the most part, no dig. Well, that's just about it for this update. Look at all the weeds here, shocking. I've got loads of weeding to do over this next week, but the flowers are still doing magnificently well. All the posts that we put in earlier in the season have really helped save the flowers, because we've had some terrible weather over this last 2 or 3 weeks with winds, gales and lots of rain. The gladioli are starting to go over now, but everything else is just smashing really. So that's it for this update, and I'll catch you again soon. All the best.